Hey everybody! I keep on forgetting to push that down. Sorry. All right. So today I wanted to talk about MDX. Over the weekend, I fell in love with this thing called MDX deck, which I'm going to write about in my newsletter today. If you're not subscribed to that, go to kcd.im/news, and you can subscribe to my newsletter, and I'll talk about what MDX deck is in my newsletter today. Yeah, today I wanted to just kind of talk about what MDX is and yeah, give you an idea of why I think it's so cool. So the fully featured MDX parser, loader, and JSX renderer for ambitious projects. That doesn't tell you a whole lot, but Markdown with JSX. That's basically the idea here. So I actually have they have a example in the repo, and I have the create React app example loaded locally. So let's take a look at what this is. I made a few changes because things were outdated, but basically MDX has this package called loader for Webpack. There's also a parcel plugin, and then there's the MDX package itself, which I think is like the parser itself. And then a bunch of kind of unrelated things to make this work. So because Create React App doesn't allow you to change the Webpack config, it's actually using React App Rewired. So it's pretty much all the Create React App stuff, except it allows you to override the config. So what they're doing here is they're getting the Babel loader, and yeah, I guess they're just using the loader and options from the Babel loader for their MDX loader. Yeah, so it goes through the MDX loader, and then it goes through the Babel loader. So the MDX package will take a string of Markdown and convert it into a string of JavaScript, of React JavaScript, so JSX. And so you're going to pipe it through the MDX loader and then pipe it through the Babel loader. And what they're doing here is they're just piping it through the same Babel loader that's built into Create React App. So it has all the same options and everything. So anyway, pretty cool little setup that they've got here. Here's where things get interesting. So actually, let me just show you the app first. So they have the MDX provider. You provide it some components. This is optional. It has like built-in components, but we're using Rebas Markdown because it looks nicer. And then you have your Rebas provider, which honestly I haven't used Rebas before, but it's like a bootstrap for React. I think it's kind of cool. And then we have this container from Rebas, and then we render hello, but this hello thing is actually a Markdown file. So we're importing a Markdown file and rendering it as a component. So here we have our hello, and inside of our Markdown file, we're importing some components from Rebas. Rebas has nothing to do with Markdown. It's just regular components, but we're using it inside our Markdown file. So we have a box, we set its width, and that's what this little card thing is. Then we render a card within that box. And then we have this background image I snatched from Unsplash. And then another box. I'm not sure what this P thing is. I copied this from Rebas right here. And then we have our subheading and a meta text. So anyway, I think that looks pretty legit. But the cool thing is that you can have your Markdown for stuff that's like normal. If you wanted to quoted text, like it's so terse and nice looking and everything. And Rebas is what's making it look all styled the way that it is. I think it's using styled components. So yeah, this is a block quote, and that's what a paragraph tag in a block quote looks like. Yeah, so let's just maybe remove the number of new things. We'll take out Rebas. We'll remove Rebas here. And here, actually, we'll leave those in and just remove this. See what happens. yeah, so it changes what it's using for that block quote component. So basically what this is doing is it's saying MDX is going to take this hello markdown file and it's going to turn it into some more JSX that's using MDX components. And what the MDX provider does is it allows you to provide specific components for MDX. And so when you say, hey, for an H1, I want you to use this component. For block quote, I want you to use this component. And for pre, like a code fence or whatever, use these different components. So that's what Rebas is doing for us, is we can create these components so that they look all nice and styled and consistent with the Rebas that we're using inside of the Markdown file. Sorry, so I probably introduced too many concepts at once. But yeah, I think MDX is pretty legit. Yeah, so let's see. I feel like there was something else I wanted to mention about this. What was it? Here, let me just check out the README here. Oh, right. So you can actually import and export other Markdown files too. So we're gonna do let's see, copyright, .md. This thing is copyrighted, yo. Okay, that's not how you spell that. But then we can import copyright from copyright.md, and then we can render this as a component. Ta-da! So that's kind of neat, right? So you can treat these as components. But what it's doing is it actually is going to wrap this in another component in this div. It's not really a component, but it wraps it in a div, and you can actually change how it's being wrapped. So if we export default this function children, and then we'll do a div with children and a class name, or here we'll do style so it's more obvious. Color is red. Then ta-da! So this allows you to say, hey, take all this markdown whatever, and I want it to be wrapped in my own div rather than the div that you're going to wrap it with, which is pretty cool because it allows you to import layout from a layout or whatever, and then use the layout instead, layout, and then whatever you want to do. So you can have some consistency across things, which is pretty neat. In addition to being able to provide custom components to the MDX provider. So I think that was all that I wanted to demo. Let me just check out some other things really quick, make sure. Oh yeah, so you can also, here we'll say message, add a message here, and then when we render this, we can say message is hi there. And so you can actually use those props. I think it's kind of interesting. I'm interested in why it's doing multiple lines though. Oh, so it put this one in a div, and children, oh, I guess children, this is being wrapped in a div by default, and then we're wrapping it in another div with the style red, and we're rendering that div, and then we have message here. Yeah, anyway, you could work around with some interesting things there. But yeah, today, like I said, I'm going to write about MDX deck and how you can write slide decks with MDX and make them really awesome. I'm really excited by this. I think it's very, very cool. And yeah, go check it out. See ya.